starts with In America, the transport industry has seen a revolution thanks to Uber. The same thing is happening here thanks to the rise of GoJek. But as GoJek continues to mature and grow in the market in Indonesia, a big question poses itself. How should GoJek bet on its next growth of on its next phase of hypergrowth? So before we do that, let me talk to you about how does GoJek work. The first, it started off with Go Rides and Go Car, where they offer transport services on transport, career and shopping. Then, in addition to that, they also offered transport deliveries for food and also groceries. Then, they expanded to Go Live, where they offer personal services to their grassroots consumers by offering cleaning, massages, ticketing services and also beauty services. The way that they make money from all these services that they provide is they take a 20% commission on these transports and a 30% commission on the beauty services that they provide. Moving on, we also need to understand the competitors that GoJek are currently facing in Indonesia. There are three main competitors. The first being Grab Bike, the second being Uber Bike, and the third being traditional taxis. But for this context, Grab Bike may remains a very big threat to them as they are currently cutting them in terms of commission for drivers. Going back to the main question, which is where GoJek should bet on its next phase, we were given three options. The first option is to expand its services to touch the multiple touch points of a customer. The second option is to expand its services to different cities in Indonesia, while the third option is to take a whole new bet and expand onto different markets in the globe. We've considered the pros and cons of each option, where all the pros for each of the options were to leverage on its data. But as you can see here, on option 2 and option 1, we decided the cons of it is that there was a huge amount of cost that's involved and also a lot of time consuming that gave us that led us to choose option 3, which is to expand globally. Now, when we talk about the pros to expand globally, what we mean to say is that if we are able to tap into a new market that matches the same format of Indonesia, where we are a developing country. In addition to that, this developing countries market also gives us the opportunity from two things. The first one is bad traffic congestions and the second one is poor infrastructure. This way we'll be able to meet the criteria of hyper-growing onto our next phase. However, there are two risks that we have to think about. The first one is, does our business model that we currently have fit with the external environment of that country? And the second one is the high cost that we have to expect if we were to expand into that market. So in addition to that, we have three main criteria why we decided to go with the third option. These criteria were made up of, number 1, shifting gears. Number 2, can we leverage on our internal strength? And number 3, can we expand our growth? When we say shift gears, what we mean to say is how can we best grow our market and meet consumers' demand? As you can see from here, we'll be able to do this. Option 3 meets all these 3 different criteria, and therefore this is the reason why we choose option 3 as our choice for growth.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
So with our option of choosing to expand globally, now we're going to walk you through on how we're going to do it and where we're going to start. So here we ask ourselves, where do we expand? Why do we choose to expand there? As well as how do we do it? So you have given us 3 options: Southeast Asia, Africa, as well as major Indian cities. Now for Southeast Asia, we have identified that the pros of the Southeast Asian countries are there's a very high smartphone penetration as well as the high congestion issues. However, these congestion issues are mainly solved by efficient transportation services. In Africa, we see that there's an untapped market, but the penetration rate of smartphones is not high enough. And that leaves us with India. India has a very high population, which leads to high congestion rates, but with poor transportation services and high usage of motorbikes. We believe that GoJek should expand into India despite there being security costs, risk of quality of services being low, as well as the local environment not being fit with what GoJek is expecting to do. Now, to look on the attractiveness on India, we will look at this through the Porter's 5 forces. We can see that the rivalry among existing competitors are low, as we see that there's an untapped market. The threat of substitutes are also low, although we are aware that public transport such as buses and taxis, but they are very inefficient, so the usage of GoJek might be very high. Barriers to entry are also very low. Although we are aware that bargaining power of suppliers are very high, we have to revolve our plan around getting suppliers on board quickly. Now, after looking at the market attractiveness, the question we have to ask ourselves is, what do we do when we have decided to tap into India? Now, our strategy is separated into three key tactics. The first being building supply. Here, our key mission is to get as many riders on board GoJek as possible. We do this by selling the idea of GoJek being not only a platform for you to earn, but you can earn while you ride. We can do this by selling the idea of your everyday activity being riding a motorcycle, which can help you not only improve your living standards, but also help the congestion problem in India. What we can do to build supply and to get more riders on board is that we can give them standardized uniforms as well as smartphone kits, just as what we did in Indonesia. After building the supply side, we have to get users to use GoJek. So here we introduce to you Meet Demand. Meet Demand, the key mission of Meet Demand is to create the awareness for GoJek in India through aggressive marketing campaigns such as advertising on billboards, getting celebrities to use GoJek, using referral systems, as well as video campaigns. These tactics that we use must highlight the key congestion issues in India and really position ourselves in a way that we can not only solve the congestion issues in India, but also to improve the living standards of the residents. Now, after we have packaged both the supply and the demand side, we need to ask ourselves, what's the next step? So we have decided that the next step would be to expand regionally in India. Now, to expand, we have decided that we can either develop a new market with our existing product or upsell the market with new products. So, for example, if we were to target the main capital of India, New Delhi, with our GoJek app, we will expand them by introducing Go Live with what we have done in Indonesia. Next, we can also target a new city, which is the next most populated city, Mumbai, so that we can really position ourselves as the main transportation provider in India.
Okay, so next I'm going to talk about the implementation timelines. Our team suggests that to implement our solution in 3-year times, during the very first year, we are planning to use the 3 until 6 months to get the rider on board to serve our customers. And concurrently, with a good relationship with the government is very important, so we plan to use the 4 until 8 months to conduct a government negotiations. And during the very last 3 months, we'll try to gather the customers' data and preference from us to further do our research. And the second years, we plan to use the 3 months. We will enrich the GoJek apps and get to celebrities on board. And during the 6 until 8 months, in the second years, our mobile applications, we try to pitch our mobile applications to make it become more common to customers. And the third years, we'll try to gather integrate the customers' information that we get through our mobile apps and try to turn it become a new opportunity to expand our further service, which is implemented in Mumbai. So furthermore, the research and development is very important when you want to try to reach a new higher levels in different markets in India to establish a new revenue streamlines. So next, I'm going to talk about the key milestones that we plan to achieve in these 3 years. The very first milestone is about the number of bookings. We need to make sure the number of bookings of customers can be secure, and we make sure we can manage to establish our things in India. And the second is about the size of the customer base. We will manage ourselves to gather all the information that we want to get and try to further extract a new opportunity in India. And the very last milestone is we tend to achieve is number of the cities expanded in India. So next we're going to talk about the risk and mitigations. So for the very first risk is acceptability of GoJek. Since we are introducing a new things to a new customer and new markets, they will surely have some response to our new things. So our mitigations will be to the marketing campaigns. We're providing a lot of promo code referral codes to attract them when using our apps from others. So we can try to track them together, become our loyal customers. For the second risk about the government restrictions, since we are relative new competitors in the market, so the government will surely do some things to protect their influence industry. So what we need to do is lobby and negotiate with them. We provide a lot of very profit sharing plan to them, attract them to accept us to become one of them.
Keep up.
So the third risk and mitigation is about inefficient of management. Since we are trying to become multinational companies, so we will have a lot of complex management things. The decision making process will be slow. So what we plan to do is decentralize the decision making, conduct the decentralized management teams to have different decision makings at the same times and make things become more efficient. So the last risk is about high cost of expansion. Since we are expanding to a new markets, we are relative kind of strangers. We don't know how the people preference. We need to do a lot of information survey and conduct. This is all about cost. So what we need to do is what the mitigation is investment from ventures. We try to get a fund from the ventures and proceed them, conduct a very good plan to make them feel confidence about our business and invest on us. So next, I will move on to the financial analysis we have done. So The population in Delhi is 29 million people, so your target market share is 5% of it. So average booking per hour is 0.1 and average commission bookings is 0.5 USD. So when we input the 5% of the 29 million populations, your target customer is like 1.45 million, and the average booking sales per hour is 145,000 USD. So let's for the expected revenue we compute is about 635 million US dollars. Of course, we need to budget some things about the cost. It's 10 million for marketing, 15 million for maintaining of the apps, and all those like management teams, and 50 million or so. So our projected net profit will be $535 million as well. So for the closing parts, I will pass it back to my team leaders, Bernard.
To conclude, the main question that we have been posed was to how do we place our bets on the next phase to meet our hyper growth. We decided to choose option 3, which is to expand globally. And when we say expand globally, we were given 3 different choices, which is Southeast Asia, Africa, and also India. We chose India because they are the nation that fits our business model appropriately, and they give us the same opportunities that Indonesia has given us, which are bad traffic congestions and also a poor transport infrastructure. Plus, the availability of motorcycles that are available in India gives us the opportunity to meet our supply, because we feel by getting this supply we'll be able to meet the demand from our customers. In addition to that, we have a 3 years plan for implementation. That is why we believe that India is the next best bet for GoJek to expand its market globally. That is all from Team UCSI. Thank you.